Teresa, in the last video clip, you showed us 5 really good models for integer operations. Do you recommend that teachers pick their favorite model and then just teach that one?
I recommend they actually teach all 5 models. When I teach all 5 models, it gives students a chance to see the similarities and differences between model to model. This is important in understanding conceptually the rules behind the integer operations. A lot of times when you use all 5, the children are going to start to create hybrid models, bringing one model in exchange for the other. And by seeing all 5, seeing the similarities and differences, it allows them to be more flexible in their thinking while still having those basic rules understood.
Can you give us an example of how students start generalizing from one model to the next?
Sure. Let's look at the positive-negative mat and the charge model. I'm going to model positive 5 plus negative 3. In both models, they're going to eliminate. The charge model, they're going to eliminate the neutral and one chunk. Whereas in the positive-negative mat, they're going to make 0 pairs and eliminate until there's no more to eliminate. We have positive 2 using the positive-negative mat and positive 2 using the charge model. They've both eliminated something.
Okay, so now you've shown us there are 5 models that teachers should use when teaching integer operations. Do you have any suggestion on which model should be taught first?
Yes, I like to start with the charge model. Children come in understanding kind of the positive and negative, make a neutral idea. It makes it a nice, easy opener. From there, I move over to the tile spacers. These manipulatives make it very easy for students to see both positive and negative because they're very concrete. From there, I move back to the positive and negative mat. Same concept, except this time it's got a separate side of the mat that the chips need to stay on. Next, I move into the red and yellow pieces. This is very similar to the charge model and the tile spacers, and it gives students the opportunity to be able to reapply the knowledge they learned in the first 2. Lastly, I go to the number line. This is probably the most abstract of all of them, yet familiar for students since they've seen it down in the elementary school.
Okay, now earlier you mentioned something about once the students can make their generalizations and form the rules in their minds, that students start creating their own hybrid models. Can you give us an example of a hybrid model maybe one of your students created?
Sure. A lot of times they just take 2 models and put them together into something that makes sense to them. For example, they might come up with the positive and negative mat and put on there negative 3 plus positive 4. They'll leave this charge model on its own separate side for positives and negatives and still apply the charge model, but this gives them a more concrete diagram so that they remember that green is positive and red was negative.
That is really cool.